Good morning, everyone. I usually say good evening. I think this is probably one of the earliest streams I've done. And here we go. Rings of Power, Episode 5, Halls of Stone. I can't help but think that Celebrimbor's reaction right there is kind of what ours is going to be throughout this review. Although a lot of other reviewers, and I guess we kind of agree with them, that this is definitely not as bad as last week. In fact, this might be the best quote unquote episode, maybe out of even two series. So it's interesting how last week we were like super amped and pissed off and angry, like this is the worst episode. And then we get to the next one and we're like, okay, there's still a lot that doesn't work with this, but I don't know. This episode feels a little bit more chill, and I'm sure we'll go into it. Of course, I'm joined once again with Everything in Middle-earth. Thank you very much for jumping on with me today and sharing our collective pain and this weekly therapy session, as we always call it, with the Rings of Power. And although this is slightly not as bad as some of the other ones, I'm sure we'll still need a little bit of therapy along the way, because there are some scenes in this episode in particular that have got me worried. One thing in particular that I didn't even realize that you mentioned maybe 5 minutes before we've gone live. So I'm sure you'll share that with us later.
Yes, and you're going to love that.
Oh,
just seeing your reaction beforehand, it's going to be a treat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the morning. I've felt like Disa today. You know, I didn't sing, but like the sunlight streaming in.
Yeah, because the dwarves can't go above ground for some reason. But yeah, the curtains are open, the sunlight's beaming, and I'm sure we've got a lot of fun to unpack. But
absolutely,
I've got one comment before we start.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the comment by JD Payne recently?
Remind me. Probably not.
Right. This applies to us, to be honest with you, although we aren't negative. It says, and those who watch every episode and write about it on social media and make YouTube videos, we're happy to have you guys. It wouldn't be a journey through Middle-earth without some trolls along the way.
Oh, God. That's such a low-hanging fruit every time, isn't it? Oh, you don't like the show, therefore you must be an ist, a phobe, a troll, or whatever. It's like, can't we just say that we don't like your shit? Like,
yeah, I think that's the best writing he's ever done. To be fair, he should keep it up. But
does this mean I get to be Damrod? Awesome. I mean, I guess we'll see if Damrod's a cool character in the next couple of episodes. But yeah, I want to be a troll. Which troll would you be? Would you be like a comedy troll from The Hobbit, or would you be like a serious, terrifying one from The Lord of the Rings?
Ooh, terrifying one. You know, the one with all the armor at the
the Black Gate?
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. Not going to be Damrod with his fucking Breaking Bad Luke. Ooh. And I can't wait there's a scene that we saw in his song where he just bats an elven soldier away. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be brilliant.
Well, I mean, Estrid got battered by an Entwife, and she was totally fine. So I'm sure that orc's going to be fine, or that elf, sorry. Is it going to be all right?
Yeah, I mean, she just got twatted into some rock, but she was fine.
So... Into a rock? Like, the swipe alone should have killed her, but like the smacking into a rock was just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, your sound.
She's got like fucking adamantium, like mithril bones or something.
Yeah.
Actually, which takes us on to our first point. I totally forgot about this for season 1. You mentioned they've stopped the production of mithril, but yet here we are, our first shot of this episode. All the 7 dwarf rings, beautifully made and presented and everything, off screen. I felt like they were just talking about the rings in one of the previous episodes, like, hey, we should make those dwarven rings, and then apparently they've made them in a show called The Rings of Power that's meant to be going on for 5 seasons. You can pump the brakes a little bit. I feel like we're speed running this whole Rings of Power shit. Like, we're already talking about making the 9, like they start making the rings for the 9 at the end of this episode. I'm like, we're halfway through, we're just a little bit over halfway through season 2. How are you going to churn 3 more series out of this? Do you want to get to the ring rates that bad for season 3? Because it's happening, apparently, by the looks of it. But yeah, we just have King Durin taking up his dwarven ring of power.
It just, for me, throughout the show, the timelines are just so muddled because, like you said, they stopped the production of Mithril in season 1. It was too dangerous, so they stopped it. So then during that time, they've started mining for the Mithril again, whilst also trying to mine for like sunlight. So at the end of the episode, so the last scene with the dwarfs, it was was in Eregion. So they brought all of the Mithril there to do it? I don't get it.
They've also, this was the elves, though, wasn't it? Well, was in collaboration with the dwarves as well. Later on, in a couple of scenes' time, we get the doors of Durin with Na'vi. So they've been using that as well. They've been making that. So they've been toiling away at a lot of different projects by the sound of it.
Yeah, they've been using Mithril for that. So, and Celebrimbor said that they used the last bit of Mithril for that little bit of the door, but where are they getting the Mithril from? I don't. They don't tell you, so it doesn't matter. You know.
I forgot that, but like the writers have no excuse. But apparently they forgot about that too. So.
Oh yeah, they don't care. You're just meant to go. Okay, here we go. The dwarven rings are done. Like you said, I thought it would have been a season on each of the rings. I mean, they fucked up the order, and I'll get onto that later because it really angered me for their reason for why they're going to be making the 9 rings. But yeah, they've just created them straight away. It's not even a full episode on creating them. It was literally you showed them pouring it, didn't see them working on it, and then now they're all there. And why, in a show that's so expensive, have you fucking CGI'd the rings?
I know they all, the designs are so, they look like knuckle dusters, don't they? Which I suppose I don't mind that so much maybe for the dwarven ones because they've got like chunky little sausage fingers and like they'd probably need chunkier rings. Like that's fine. But the elven ones look, well, I think someone mentioned, didn't they? You know, those sort of like crank machines you'd pop like 20p in back in the day and like twist them and you'd get like a little cheap plastic. They look like that. They were huge. They were like comic oversight, like those gummy rings that you get sometimes.
Yeah, and the thing that I don't get as well with the timeline. So, this is a question actually for you. How do you find, or do you like it that the rings are talking to the ring bearers now?
That was going to be my next point. I hate it. I hate it so much. So all subtlety has gone out of the window with these rings. The dwarven rings did corrupt, but not in the same way that the one ring would corrupt you, for example, or even the 9 rings of men. It just kind of amplified the wearer's current sensibilities. So the dwarves were already quite covetous, and they toiled in the mines and everything like that, and it just amplified that. So they became more ambitious and greedy and covetous, and that's why they delve too greedily and too deep, and also amassing all of that wealth of coin that would attract dragons later on. So it did corrupt them. Or I think Thror as well, pretty sure it was Thror, when he goes off on his quest, when he's like, oh yeah, I'll go and reclaim Khazad-dum or whatnot, like it kind of filled them with a false sense of security and just overly ambitious with things like that. Subtle kind of things that took a long time to manifest. This was a slow process, probably over many hundreds of years. Whereas this one, King Durin puts the ring on, and immediately in the next scene, he's becoming corrupted by it. Now, this corruption is very much, they're harkening back to the effects of the One Ring. They even have a scene later on where it's very much like the extended edition of Fellowship, where Bilbo goes like, where's it gone? And he's like tearing everything apart. And the guy's like, oh, you just put it on the table. You just took it off there. So they're already making them very like gripping. And it's that kind of junky kind of behavior that we saw in the Peter Jackson film, which works for the One Ring because it is the One Ring, the all corrupting ring. That makes sense for that one. But the effects of this are being felt way too quick. And it just feels like that speed running kind of thing. They kind of did that a little bit in The Hobbit as well. Now I get it because Bilbo does find the One Ring and they probably wanted to tie it back into the original Lord of the Rings films and everything. but even the drastic effects that it was having on Bilbo in those movies that I thought was too quick, like the bit in Mirkwood where he stabs that crab baby spider thing and he kind of freaks out afterwards. I was like, this shouldn't probably be happening this early, the effects of it. But yeah, I'm not a fan. And then it can kind of telepathically communicate to them, and he just like it's almost like a magnet. He's just wafting his hand over the wall, and he goes like dig here. Like what? Like yeah, not a fan of it, to be honest.
No, same. Like you don't get any timeline for how long he's had the ring for. Do you know?
It feels like it honestly feels like he puts it on immediately, and then within like the next hour he's freaking out. That's at least what it feels like to the viewer.
Yeah, and like why is Sauron and Celebrimbor just giving him all of the rings instead of trying to lure all of the other dwarven lords? It's because Durin's got a new tax system, a ring tax. What a load of shit.
Ring tribute, they call it, don't they? Ring tribute. Yeah.
But yeah.
Is there a scene where he invites the other dwarf lords and talks about the rings? He kind of sits them all around the table. Are they just his counselors, or were they the other dwarf lords?
No, so those are the emissaries.
Oh, okay.
That word. For the other kingdoms.
Right.
Because in that scene, they are saying that they can have a ring if they provide half of their mining materials as tribute.
Yeah.
So he's just gone full fucking tax man. He's going for it. But you have the scene, what you alluded to, with him walking around, and he just stumbles around, and then he puts his hand on the wall, and he's like, "We dig here."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are they digging for during that scene? Are they digging for the light? I think they are, but then why aren't they digging for mithril?
Well, apparently they've already mined it all out because it's gone into making those rings off screen.
Actually, that's actually made a good point, because so they dug all the mithril, they used up all of that resource, all of their resources to dig for mithril before they decided to dig for light.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah.
Oh my god, you've just unlocked something, man.
Well, it's still exactly. I get like the system's kind of cool. Like you think about the logistics of Khazad-dum and how they'd get food and how they'd grow food and maintain a society like that. And you go, oh well, they have like little shafts of light and little gardens and stuff like that. But gardens are going to make vegetables. And like you got the scene from The Hobbit, dwarves really don't like vegetables. I'm sure some of them do, but when Gimli goes in, he's like roaring fires, malt beer, red meat off the bone. And he's not like, oh, I'm going to prepare you a nice salad. Everything's going to be really nice and present. I get that you want to show this thriving society, and maybe it is a good idea. Maybe it is a cool idea with the lights and the mirrors reflecting to get all these different gardens, but I don't know. It doesn't really strike me as the kind of dietary requirements that are needed for a good, sturdy, hardy dwarf,
100%. And but the praise that I have for this episode is I really like the actors for the dwarves.
Yes. Like, we kind of said that for season 1 as well. Yeah. Like they were probably the most consistent group of actors. Yeah, definitely.
Like the king, King Durin, I really like him. He does have that presence, and his chemistry with his son on screen is good. Like I was enjoying that bit, although one bit did throw me. So it's when he decides that he's going to start pickaxing there and he's going to start mining, and you just linger on a shot where he's just hitting the wall. He's not making any progress, and then we time jump. And then it's like he's still hitting the wall, not made any difference. But you cut to the shot where he breaks through the wall, and you think, how the fuck's he done that? It's like miles above him. There's like no room. He couldn't fit his arm in to whack it. And then all of a sudden, there's light. It's like, come on. I mean, that was solved quick.
Yeah.
Bang, he's done it.
Hey, it's the power of the the rings, they have many magical abilities, okay? And that's one of them now. It knows where to dig.
So you're telling me that Deesa's singing couldn't find that?
Oh god, we'll get Deesa singing, Christ almighty. They're really trying to make this a thing, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
It's the cringiest shit ever when that
yeah,
happens. Every time she sings. Yeah.
yeah. If you want to fucking find anything, just sing. You know, you want to find a comb, you just fucking there you go. It's right in front of you. Fucking.
Oh, could you imagine if during the Lord of the Rings, like she can find anything, Sauron sends out the 9 ring wraiths and they come back empty-handed. He's like, right, Sauron is yet to reveal his most deadly enemy, Deesa. She just starts singing and she just goes, oh yeah, the one ring's there.
Yeah.
Let's get game over, credits done, Sauron wins instantly. So the next scene is kind of a nice scene. Like, I watched your review, I kind of agree. Na'vi and the Doors of Durin. I would have maybe liked to have seen these two working on this during the show. I think that would have been a nice, it would have shown that relationship between the elves and the dwarves. And my God, we've got 5 seasons. Take your time with some things. It's fine. We saw in a couple of episodes ago, I think Celebrimbor, doesn't he unveil like a slab of the door? Or maybe it was Na'vi. I can't remember. But you saw like one. Oh no, it was Celebrimbor. He was talking about the letters that reflect the moonlight and whatnot. But now we have the completed doors, which is cool. It's nice to see. And, it is from the book. Those two did help each other make them. But again, this is all stuff that's happened off screen. And it would have been nice to have seen those two characters interact with each other a little bit.
Yeah, like it does happen in the lore. These two do have a relationship. And it is a shame that this is the only scene we've got. Because the door's completed, so he's going to go back with the door, and that's going to have to be fitted. But
it's a big distance, isn't it? Again, that's another thing that's been. Well, I mean, there's loads of examples in this one episode alone of people just teleporting between places. Especially Elrond, where he returns to Gil-galad. Like, my God! But yeah, they've got to lug those doors all the way back to Khazad-dum, and I don't think Khazad-dum's a short distance. Although in season 1, it may have been in like even episode 1 or episode 2 when Elrond and Celebrimbor go to Khazad-dum, they just arrive there in the very next scene without horses. It's like they've just walked next door. So,
I mean, how long has it taken them to create the doors?
You never get exactly. You never get a sense of how long anything takes in this show.
And why haven't we been building up that relationship? Like, what have we been wasting it on? Fucking Isildur's sister. Like, why? It's a major thing.
She's such an unlikable character this season.
Oh God,
she was a nondescript character in season 1 that I kept forgetting even existed. And in this one, she's just so hateful and spiteful. I just hate her.
Oh, they really want you to remember her this season, mate.
Yeah.
But Celebrimbor, I fucking can't stand the actor. Every time, fucking Yaddle. He's like giving a speech into saying how working with the dwarves has been good, and how Halbrand, Anatar is amazing for helping make this happen. But then we get the awkward scene of fucking, is it Merdania? Whatever her name is.
The assistant, the blonde Elven Smith assistant lady. Yeah,
who could potentially have made a certain ring. So Sauron's sulking in the corner, which I don't get why, because he's trying to fit in. They are going along with his plan. I know that the door isn't part of his plan, but he's there. Like, he could be learning about the secrets. That's another issue that I have, is because they've been talking about this door and he's been creating this door. So surely Sauron would know now, okay, they've got a secret door right here and they're going to be building it and installing it here. But hey ho, he's looking so disinterested, and he's meant to be fitting in. He's meant to be deceiving everyone, and he's sulking. And you get a shot of Celebrimbor's apprentice, like, just tap him on the arm as if like, well done. And then he just walks off. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like considering Sauron goes under the name Sauron the Deceiver, there's no deceiving going on this season. Everyone's just really fucking stupid, and that's just how they're written. There's no
Oh,
there's no level of deception at all. It's so surface level, all of it. And you're right, like he should be currying favor, that he should be championing this union between the two, because he's like, oh yes, all of my plans, like, you know, they're going for the rings. Everything's good. No one suspects a damn thing. This is excellent. I'm going to fit in. But yeah, he just kind of loiters in the background and kind of walks off and sulks. And he's just like, oh, I want to start working on the 9 now. It's just like, you know, well, let's celebrate first. He's like, no, now. And then a little bit of key jangling, maybe. And maybe in a better Lord of the Rings show, I would have had a much more emotional reaction to this. There is an Earendil, Tuor, and Beren mention in this scene as well. Yeah. The 3 great tales.
yeah, because he goes
like, oh, so you do pay attention to the book sometimes then when you want to. That's nice. Can you adapt those effectively and accurately, please?
Yeah, because remember, they care about the books. You know, I just love how this will get a pass just for mentioning those characters' names. It's like, see, they care. Well, they don't, because it's all shite. Like, you go to Sauron and Celebrimbor, Sauron's sulking in the windowsill, and they're talking about how he wants to make the 9 rings for men, and for some reason Celebrimbor's like, no, they're doomed. Just let them die.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, because he says men are easily corruptible, and apparently dwarves aren't as well. I mean, I know that dwarves and elves are kind of cool around this time, but then, well, even in season 1, it seemed like there was still quite a lot of animosity between dwarves and elves. So surely elves would go, no, we're the superior race. Like, we're not going to give rings to the dwarves or men. But yeah, so elves okay, dwarves okay, draw the line at men. Absolutely not. So yeah, Anatar's like, fine, I will do it myself. Like Thanos. And he also says that he wants to locate 9 candidates for the rings. So we're going to be getting into that very soon, I think. Who are these 9 going to be?
That's an issue that I have. Like, are they just going to be just fucking not noble? They're just going to be anyone. And you're meant to be having... Am I right? Is the Witch King meant to be... Is it Camul?
So Camul is the second in command. So you've got the Witch King, who isn't named beyond that.
Yeah.
It's theorized that he was probably of like Numenorean race, or like maybe 3 of the 9 were tied in with Numenor in some way. The only named Ringwraith is Camul. Camul the Easterling, so we know where he originates from. We know his name, and that he was the second in command of the 9. But that's it. I mean, we're doing the kind of Easterling thing at the moment, so
yeah. I was just going to say, how much do you reckon it will be? You know, the masked raider who you've been teasing about his face and that. How much do you reckon it'll be him or someone else along there?
What's his name? Brank or something. But then, like, didn't someone say that one of the elves in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers last week was called Brank? So
yeah,
I can't remember. It can't be Saruman. Like, they can't make that Camul. I mean, he's not an Easterling anyway, is he? Like, this is your one chance for the show to actually be inclusive and multicultural, and I don't feel like we've done that at all with Rune, which is like a huge missed opportunity, because that was one of the cultures I was really looking forward to seeing be adapted, because there's not a huge amount of writing on it, and it's always been this kind of like land of mystery, and Harad as well.
Yeah.
And I really know what this was your opportunity to do it. Sort of like your Game of Thrones thing, where you have Westeros and then you have like Pentos and stuff, and you see all these different cultures. That is the perfect time to do it. But yeah, who's Camul gonna be? As long as it's they won't do it. Well, they might do it to Rings of Power. That fucking store character, who is it? Rufio from last week. Let's screw it. Let's make him Camul. Why not? There's rumors about oh god, what's his name? Theo. That I don't know if you mentioned that you think he might be a Ringwraith. I saw another theory online the other day that because he's like the Lord of Pelargir now or something, isn't he? Or something to do with Pelargir. Someone said, like, could he be the King of the Dead? Is he going to betray and like flee into the mountains or whatnot? So we've got it down to King of the Dead or possible Ringwraith at this point.
And that's Theo. Fucking hell.
Oh God, we're fucked.
Jesus, we are fucked. We're screwed. Fucking hell. I just love how he goes and says he's going to make the rings himself. Like, this is Celebrimbor's place. Surely you'll just say, no, I don't permit you. Like, why is he allowing him to do it?
Well, no. You're confusing this with a Celebrimbor that would have like some actual, a spine and some actual like gumption behind him.
You know what? Like, I don't get why all of a sudden they're throwing this tension within it. Like, surely this was the plan to make the 9 rings for mortal men. Like, why all of a sudden is Celebrimbor like, nah, we're done?
And later on, like the way that he falls for it, as I say, there's no deception at all. It's the oldest trick in the book. It's like you intentionally try to do something wrong, and then someone goes, "Oh, fine, step out of the way. I'll do it. I'll help you." Like it's just that later on. Like, I'm not going to help you, and Sauron's just epically fucking it up intentionally. Then Celebrimbor's like, "Fine, I'll offer my advice so you do it properly or not at all." Just.
Awful.
Look at see, I knew it would happen. I'm doing the Celebrimbor thing. I'm doing the face that he does in the thumbnail. Look how they massacred my boy. Shall we I don't know if you got any more notes on that scene. If you're ready, we can jettison over to Numenor because we got some Ar-Pharazôn stuff to talk about.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's go to Numenor.
Okay, so we cut to Ar-Pharazôn, who's a character I really want to like. He's this absolute like tyrant in the books, and I think like you've got so much stuff you could adapt here and do really well, pace out the writing, really build up that leadership. And for 2 seasons now, I think a couple of episodes ago, you asked me my impressions of the actor playing Ar-Pharazôn. I think I gave you the answer that I don't really have an answer for you because I haven't seen him enough to really gauge his performance or the character. And I still feel that way. We've had a couple of scenes with him in today's episode. I still feel that same way. I want to see more. I ain't going to say that I hate him, but there's just not enough there. But he stood with his son, Kermit. We're going to call him Kermit for the sake of this review. And then doesn't he say that there's like some prophecy that Kermit's destined to fail? Or he's like, I saw a vision, or there was when your mom died, there was a prophecy where you were going to be shit and fail.
Yeah.
Who made this prophecy?
I know, yeah. Like, the whole of the stars aligned for Kermit's death. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. But I did initially like how Ar-Pharazôn was talking about, how he could see only certain people can see heresy, and that he was jealous about the immortality of the elves. It wasn't too over the top. I have thought, to be honest, that his performance has been better this season than last, and I thought that was interesting. But then you look at what they're fucking wearing. It's like, okay, you've got fucking his son's got some. I don't even know what the shoes are called. And he just throws me off every time, Kermit. I don't know what his actual name is now. I've just kind of stuck with Kermit, and that's it.
Is it like Kemet or something?
Ket?
Close.
Ketamine.
I could do with some of that to get through this.
I don't actually know.
But yeah, Kermit. The name's stuck now. That's it.
Kermit. That's it.
That's what he's going to be.
He's done.
Well, I really want him to be played by a Muppet now.
Yes.
That's how it cuts for him. Just that mouth thing that Kermit does, like,
You know what? Please, if you do a re-edit, just put Kermit on his scenes. Just I hate the acting performance. Not the actor, because obviously it's not personal, but the acting's horrible. And he's just so weak on screen. And yeah, you get this random scene where he's saying, like, there's some Numenoreans that are disagreeing and they need to sort it out. And then Ar-Pharazôn's just like, when your mother was breastfeeding you, she said that your fate is dark, and it's like, what the fuck?
See, she knew what he was going to grow into. She knew he was going to grow into Kermit, even from when he was born.
Yeah, it's like, hold on, he's doing your work. He's like, but you can undo this if you do a task for me. He's like, he's already on your side. So why are you having a go at him? Why the hell did you bring that up? Why now? Why didn't you bring that up before? Say, oh yeah, by the way, randomly, your mum says that you're going to die a horrible death. Oh,
thanks, Dad.
it is. But Kermit is just, yeah, he's
he
just
reminds
awful.
me of like Draco Malfoy from the early Harry Potter films. He's like, wait till my father hears about this.
Yeah,
really petulant, little Weasley little character.
See, you think that these are meant to be terrifying, like what you said. They turn up, they end up sacrificing humans. They end up having a temple of Morgoth.
Yeah.
How the hell are we going to get to that point with a such short space of time? Because you're going to have, Elendil and the faithful moving over to Middle Earth. And how are we going to do this?
Well, they've been speed running the rest of it, so get ready for season 3 where we speed run the destruction of Numenor in like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So then we have a scene with Elendil and Miriel, and I think is it Miriel who says she saw a positive vision in the Palantir, or was it Elendil who says that?
So it was Elendil. So the scene plays out where she's upset that the city aren't with her, and Elendil's like, oh, I can summon the sea is always right people, and we can fight for you and fight for the city. And she's like, no, don't do that. And then she asks him about his vision, and he's like, oh yeah, I was on a horse and like moving away from the city. And then she concludes, you must be the new leader. It's like, wait, what if someone else she brought in had a different vision? Like, would that mean, okay, he's the leader? Like, what?
I love how kind of nondescript that vision is of Elendil as well. Like, just love that. When Pippin gets quizzed by Gandalf in Return of the King, and he's like, there was a white tree in a courtyard of stone. It was dead. The city was burning. And he's going through all this. Like, I heard his voice in my head. And it's like, Elendil, what did you see? I was on a horse.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were you doing?
Yeah.
I was just in the forest moving away. Okay, That means that Numenor is falling and you're okay. So that's sound. And I just love how they don't want to fight for Numenor. By the way, they're just
total
like, fuck it,
aren't they, at this point? Which comes back to bite them in the ass at the very, very end. With the world's longest sword, I'll get onto that later.
Oh.
The way that was filmed was kind of really, really, really funny.
I just like how the actress for Muriel, to be blind, all you've got to do is look up. Like, she's always looking up. I'm like, what are you looking at? Like, move your eyes around. And I love how Elendil says that she's the reason why he's with the faithful, like he's got faith again. But didn't he end the last season really angry at her for basically killing half of the Numenorean armies? And he was angry at the elves, and you don't really get, I don't know, like on-screen time of them really bonding. I did hear a rumor that they're actually trying to ship these characters, and you can kind of see it, like the little subtle touches, and she's meant to be teaching Elendil how to command in this show. So
of course,
God help that.
Of course, Elendil was surprised at, and kind of taken aback by Galadriel's superior fighting tactics when she was teaching the men of Numenor. The men of Numenor, for fuck's sake! The soldiers of Numenor! Stab, twist, gut. We had that last season, and now we've got Miriel now. And when Elendil says, like, you were the one who gave me faith, I'm like, of course, because you're going to have no agency yourself. It's always got to be, spelled out for you and whatnot. Yeah, we know at some point Miriel's going to be beneath the waves talking to the Kraken, being sacrificed to the Kraken. So that's probably going to happen in what if the next episode is going to be the big fight? Then probably episode 8, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Um,
But the
we
thing
also
that
go
the
on, sorry.
thing that threw me off as well is that Off-Arazon's king now. Straight away, no taking over scene, no, the chaos after that eagle came. He's just king. Move on. Like,
I love
what?
how he's king because he chose to stand next to the window, because that's where the eagle came in.
Yeah.
So could Miriel have just walked over to the window as well and gone, actually, I'm still queen?
Yeah. Like, I don't get it. Like, there's no transition scene between it. It's just cut. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Rings of power
Because
for
you're a
you.
TV show, this is your opportunity to show stuff like that. You can pace it out and you can show those, political intricacies and whatnot. You use Game of Thrones as a template if you want to. Yeah, it's another fantasy show that deals with politics. Pace it out a little bit. But unfortunately, this is more like Game of Thrones season 8 and not Game of Thrones season 1, when it could have had really, really good writing behind it.
Yeah.
Then we have Elendil's daughter just being an absolute bitch, complete traitor, and she strips all the faithful of their rank. They're handing in their arms and turning over their titles and whatnot. And I think it was Bath Time in the comments on your video mentioned it's a Dead Poet Society moment where it's like, Captain, my captain, and all of the men are still loyal to Elendil and they're chanting his name in the streets. And you've got I was going to call him Draco then. No, Kermit is like, stand down, don't call him. He's not a captain anymore. He's nothing. But they still call him captain. I think that's kind of an all right scene. As well, Bath Time said it is kind of ripped off that movie, but I like stuff with soldiers and like leaders and men where they're still loyal to. Like, I like that aspect to the character. I think that's kind of cool. Can that be my positive? I've had a few positives. The Doors of Dorin and stuff. I've had a few positives this episode. But yeah, I like the actor they've got for Elendil, but it's just that writing just a little bit stronger, just a little bit more.
I just see. I didn't like this scene. I liked the performance by Elendil, apart from the quote that he said, which was, "Her future is made of seawater. Take care to keep your feet beneath you. It's a long way to the bottom." What the fuck does that mean? Like,
I didn't write that down. It's these tortured metaphors that we get every single episode.
Just tell it, pack it in, come home. Like, this is your daughter. And I love how we've had no character development for her. She's just evil now.
Yeah, I don't remember her being this like contemptible in season 1. I remember her just kind of being there, and she finds the Palantir, doesn't she, in the King's chambers or something when he dies, and she was just granted access to the King's chambers on his deathbed, and there was no security, no guards, and then all of a sudden we hard cut to this season and she's just a bitch, to be honest, for want of a better word. Like, she's hateful.
Like, I completely forgot that she potentially had a relationship with Isildur's mate.
Yeah,
I completely forgot, because like she goes over to say, "Oh, I can save you from this," and he's like, "Nah," and I forgot. I was like, "Wait, what? They had a relationship? What the fuck?"
Yeah,
I just love the shot where she's trying to intimidate Elendil, and you have a shot of her standing looking at Elendil, and he's like miles taller than her. I don't know if you've ever seen the photo of like Rey Mysterio and the Great Khali, where he's just looking up. It's like, Jesus. I just thought her acting wasn't great. Kermit's just so bad. Like, he's meant to be intimidating these soldiers. How have all of these soldiers decided, you know what, we're going to fall in line because of him? And
it reminds me of do you know, you've seen Braveheart, the Mel Gibson movie?
Yeah.
You've got King Edward the Longshanks, and then he's like really wimpy, simpering son kind of thing. It kind of reminds me of that. Like, you got Ar-Pharazôn, and then you've got Kermit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like...
Well, I don't think Kermit makes it out of this season. I think now they've mentioned like he's doomed to fail. I don't think Kermit's going to make it through season 2. I could be wrong.
No, I agree. I don't think he does. And yeah, Elendil's probably the best part of the Numenorean story so far.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good actor and he sells the role, but he's just in a really shit story at the moment.
My next note, we're going to cut to Gil-galad now. My first note is... Oh, you got... Sorry.
No. I'm laughing because this scene's awful.
Yeah, my first note is Gil-galad sees vision of dead fish.
It was like a stock clip, wasn't it? It was like a load of stock clips. I'm like, what? Rocks blowing up. What?
Like visually, it didn't match. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. It's like they downloaded these off Google or something. Yeah.
It was like shot on a VHS tape. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? But I have a really, 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 really big issue with this one. So the scene prior to this, you have Celebrimbor's written to Gil-galad saying that everything's fine, they've stopped working, and everything's all good. How's the Elven Rings doing? So Gil-galad's got the armada ready, and they're ready to set sail and attack Mordor, but it's delayed. And the Elven commander says that Galadriel was wrong because Eregion seems to be fine. Apparently, even though they know Sauron's there, and they should let their armies depart for Mordor. Now, they have already established that they have spies. And they have scouts. How the hell has no one spotted the Adar's army moving out from Mordor, going all the way to literally the doors of Eregion by the end of this episode? How's no one spotted it? And you're still planning on going to Mordor? It's a major fault. How has no one spotted a big army that is literally cutting down trees as it goes? No one spotted it.
This could have like been circumnavigated if they'd have tunneled there, but then again, you'd need the weirworms again probably to do that kind of level of tunneling in that kind of time. But this is the prime example probably of this episode where I don't understand the timeline of this thing. So we cut to Elrond running back from where he was when he ventured with Galadriel. He's like, is it Gallipoli? That's another Mel Gibson movie. Just sprinting back to deliver this message in time. And I'm like, God, if only he had a horse, it'd be so much easier, wouldn't it? But I'm thinking, so, okay, that's going to take a huge amount of time. But in this same time, like, Gil-galad never questions the fate of the messengers that he sent. Like, he receives this letter from Celebrimbor, and he never says, oh, there's no mention of the messengers that I sent out at this time. Like, he never questions that. But then Celebrimbor has time to write a letter and send it to Gil-galad the same time that Elrond is running back. But then the timeline of everything else in the plot is kind of happening consistently from what we saw in previous episodes. So I don't know what's happening. How does time work? Does time work differently for the elves? I don't know.
I'd never thought about that because they don't use birds to send messages. They use people. So they must have gone the same route that Elrond and Galadriel went in the last episode. So they must have come across the dead messengers.
It reminds me of Game of Thrones season 7, where they go beyond the wall and they get surrounded by the White Walkers, and then Gendry literally runs back to the wall. They send a raven to Dragonstone to Daenerys, who then flies up with her dragons, all in the space of about an hour tops.
Yeah, like, it doesn't make sense. Surely they would have seen the dead bodies and gone, oh, okay. They would have come across Adar's army at that point. So it doesn't make sense. No. And like I say, we get the PTSD clip of fish, Sauron, and an orc eating. I don't know what he's eating. We also see something on fire. Now, is that potentially his future that he's seen? And I love how the rings are just showing them this at this point. They're just like, here you go. We're corrupting all of you. Just fucking show you anything.
Yeah.
So the commander of the South, who the fuck's that? I don't know. So she says that the enemy is in Mordor. Again, the scouts don't fucking know what they're doing.
Sleeping on the job or something, apparently, yeah.
Yeah, even though they already established that they've got spies near Mordor because they tracked Halbrand all the way to Mordor. And Gil-galad's not doing anything. Like, he doesn't want to send his army to Eregion, even though, you know, Sauron's there. He doesn't want to send it to Mordor. Like, what the hell's he doing? Like, he's just such a coward.
He's just like he's really frumpy, isn't he, Gil-galad?
Yeah.
He's not like the high King Gil-galad that they'll eventually sing songs about. He doesn't really strike me as that type. But yeah, he's just so complacent. Would you say probably that? I mean, it's, you know, throw a dart at this for the most assassinated character out of everyone. I'd probably say the worst is Celebrimbor, and then maybe close second is maybe Gil-galad. I know Galadriel's been assassinated as well, so as I say, like, it's really difficult, but those two stand out in my mind.
Yeah. I think if you could go to like which sort of race has been butchered the most, it's got to be the elves.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought another poor scene again for Gil-galad. Like, how many good scenes have we had for him, really? Like, not many, if any.
He's going to be fighting this season, isn't he? He's
Oh,
going to be
God.
so cool.
Oh, yeah, because apparently he's having a battle with Damrod, apparently.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He's having a fight, so that's going to be fun.
Black Legolas is going to rock up and maybe take down Damrod. We'll find out. Or join in the fight.
He'll beat him for sure.
Yeah. Do you think he'll kill him in the same way, like the arrow through the mouth? Are they going to go that far, do you think? Or
yes, I think we'll have a shot as well of him climbing on his back and shooting the arrow on his head, and it just bounces off. 100%. And I'll just go back very quickly on the Elrond running like a Monty Python skit. I love how we have to see him, so they're running so quickly, and then he just takes his cloak off and runs at the same speed. Like, what the fuck? Why do we need to see that? And you know what would have been handy? If they had horses. They wouldn't have to be running.
Oh, but Galadriel took the one horse they had, right? And that wasn't even their horse. I don't know where that horse came from. It was just there.
Yeah, just a random horse just rocked up in the middle of fucking in the Barrow Downs. Yeah, just awful, man. And just Elrond just running like he shat himself. Awful.
I'm just playing. As soon as you mentioned it, I'm just playing that Monty Python sketch in my head now. Just him on the distance.
Yeah. Oh,
fucking hell. Okay, we cut back to the dwarves. I mean, we probably mentioned a bunch of this already, but Disa and Durin have a conversation. I think Durin tries to reconcile with his father in a fairly well acted scene, and then returns to Disa. And what does he say? Like he couldn't do it or something. She's disappointed in him or something, isn't she?
I've got an issue with this
down
scene.
Or something.
Yeah, I've got a real issue with this scene. The writers have forgotten that in the last episode, it was Disa that wanted the rings of power, not Durin. Now all of a sudden, Disa doesn't want the rings. What's happened? We're literally missing a scene in between to explain, okay, she doesn't like them now.
Yeah.
Why? Because they've taken her job. Is that it? Like, seriously, like, what's happening? Why is she turned?
Consistency is just all over the place with this show, isn't it? Well, there is no let's be honest, there is no consistency. There is, however, an Aule mention. Aule's probably been mentioned before in season 1, but when we had the Eärendil and Tor and things like that mentioned earlier, like when they mentioned Aule as well, I was like, oh, okay, you're getting those Silmarillion little bits in there. I don't know. I appreciated that kind of stuff. I know it's kind of like Member Berries, but again, in a better show, I'd have so much appreciation for that because I'm like, oh, it's fleshing out the world and the gods and everything. I like that. But then I come crashing back down to reality like, oh, this is Rings of Power. You know, this isn't the show that you wanted. But and yeah, this is where King Durin introduces ring tribute, ring tax.
Yeah.
And oh god, it's the scene. Oh god, this might be the worst scene of the whole episode for me. Disa goes to the marketplace and buys this gem. At first, what I thought was a palantir, and especially how we see it kind of act afterwards, how it's almost sentient and racing across the floor to direct you to something or to escape from you or something. But I think it is just genuinely just like a big gem, like a big spherical gem. And she buys it. And then she drops it on the floor, and there's that like comical moment that's like in every fucking movie ever, where they drop it on the floor and they're scrambling around on the floor to try and get it, and then someone will kick it somewhere else. It's been done to death. But it's almost like this gem has as I said, like a sentience to it, because it falls down this chasm, which apparently is in walking distance. It's not like a huge chasm. It's not like right to the pits of the fucking earth like it probably should be. It just kind of wanders down like a cave and a couple of stairs, and she finds herself in this apparently undiscovered area of Moria, which, when you see the ingenuity of the dwarves and how well they've got this place mapped out, how has no one found this place before? Because apparently it's really easy to walk into. And it's like this pool, and then she goes straight up like Aretha Franklin again and goes like, and starts singing. She goes all soul and gospel about it. And then the Balrog's like, oh, fuck off, stop singing. And yeah, we're reminding ourselves that the Balrog is there, apparently in complete earshot of the dwarves this whole time, because it ain't far away from that dwarven kingdom. And again, like, the dwarves have never discovered the Balrog before. The Balrog's never discovered them or awoken before. It took Disa's singing to piss off the Balrog. Well, no, in series 1, it was a falling leaf that pissed off the Balrog. And then in this, it's Disa singing. And you know what? I can't blame him. If you're going to get pissed off, like, I'd be the same as well. So, yeah, the fact how, what's the word I'm looking for? Not convenient, but just how terrible, like how this was thrown together. There's a word I'm forgetting. Contrived. Just how contrived it was to have Disa find the Balrog's location, or at least know that there's something bad down there, through this kind of like slapsticky comedic thing with the whole gem thing. What are we doing? This is embarrassing. Please stop.
Can you just imagine, like, the dwarves in the future? They're like, oh, you know, there was a Balrog in Moria. Oh, how did you find out? Wow, the dwarf Disa dropped a stone that didn't break on first impact, decided to roll, didn't break, just landed at the edge of the pool, didn't fall in. She sings because she can't see it right in front of her, and that singing's what woke the Balrog up.
Yeah.
Oh wow, great! That's amazing. How stupid is that scene? Come on, it's meant to be really funny, but it's not, because the consequences of it are so massive. When you
want someone to cut this with the Lord of the Rings. Like, I want Disa to sing and the Balrog roars, and then all of a sudden you start hearing drums in the deep, and like fucking goblins just pour out and just murder shit out of them. Yeah.
You know what? You have to think as well that we've not had the Balrog scene yet.
No, that's coming, isn't it? The big bombastic action. Yeah.
So they need to discover the Balrog, and it's in that same area, it looks like.
That'll be the finale, won't it? That'll be in the last episode. Yeah.
So who's that? Who's going to be down there? Is it going to be King Durin? Do you reckon the ring takes him down there? Fuck knows. But yeah, it's just chasing this stone, and then she drops it and it smashes. Like, what? And again, yeah, why haven't any of the other dwarves heard or felt this tremor? Because it's loud, you know. Like, it's just
honestly how I watched that scene is I can't comprehend that it was just convenience that this gem rolled to that specific location. I have to kind of think that this gem is somehow trying to show Disa something. Like, it intentionally rolled there. It's got a sentience of itself. It's part of the mountain. That's, I mean, just saying that out loud is fucking stupid. But both scenarios are really, really stupid. So, which one is less stupid? I'll let you decide. But
I just love how as well the dwarves have their economies recovered within an episode.
Like, it's all that ring tribute, mate.
Yeah, all the ring tribute, all the mithril which they fucking stopped doing, and Yeah, they're all good now. But that scene has big consequences. I mean, at first I thought it was going to be the Watcher under the water. I thought it was going to be him, but it. But
He
no,
got full, yeah, that would, yeah,
because
good
you
shout.
saw that it was the water was trembling. I was thinking, oh, okay, but no, it's the Balrog, and Disa woke it up by singing to try and find her gift.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where are their children, by the way? That just occurred to me as well. They got mentioned a couple. I knew we wouldn't get them, didn't I? Say I was like, we're not going to get them. The spectral apparitions of their children.
It's like
So
Maddie
when all of
McCann.
Yeah.
Where have they gone?
You just know, though, in episode 8, when shit's going to hit the fan and the Balrog's tearing apart Khazad-dum, they ain't even going to get a mention. I guarantee. Like, it'll just be like Durin will be like, Disa, where are you? And he's trying to protect her. The kids won't even come into it. Guarantee.
Oh, do you think we're gonna get the fall of Khazad-dum?
Yes.
At the end of this
100%.
season.
Yeah. Because I mean,
Really?
we had the sort of the cave-in stuff, which did they say what? Well, they said that was the ring, didn't they? Or it was like the corruption of Sauron started to create this. But then I was thinking, it was this Balrog that was shaking the mountain.
So they said what shook the mountain was the tremors from Mordor. Like, what? Have you seen the distance?
Yeah.
It's the evil of Sauron, and I love how everyone's calling him Sauron, yet he hasn't been named as Sauron yet.
Yeah, we jumped. Yeah, that's the movie thing. It's just, people remember the name Sauron. We're just going to call him that. We're not going to go into the history of that. It's Oh, we'll go into a backstory for fucking Mithril, but we won't follow the actual backstory of how Sauron gets his name. Okay. We've got a comment from Dirty Sanchez, who says, how often have you guys dropped something and then chased it like a moron for 5 minutes? Someone wrote that scene in the Lord of the Rings universe. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just
great
think.
Fun to be alive, isn't it? Do you want to know something else that really pissed me off too? And maybe I'm misremembering something here, so feel free to clarify me if I'm off base on this. You have King Durin, who says, there's pockets of gold down there, and we must dig and we must mine it all out. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. In the book, and I believe in the extended edition of Fellowship of the Ring as well, could be in the theatrical version, Gandalf says, Moria's wealth was not in that of gold or jewels, but mithril. And he shines his staff down, and it reflects everything, shows the extent of the mines. But now there are pockets of gold. It's a gold mountain. I'm like, no. Mithril, you fucked up. He quite clearly says they didn't delve in gold or jewels.
See, I didn't take it as that. I thought that he was just using that as sort of a what you call it, saying that the mithril's like gold to them. Like there's gold, pockets of gold down there. I didn't think it was actual gold. If it is gold, then that's ridiculous.
It looked like it looked like
gold. I'll have to look it back. If that's the case, then what the fuck? They're mining mithril.
Yeah,
they're not some gold diggers. What's going on?
I've just got King Durin starts to go mad from the ring, and it just tells his son there is no danger, and they'll keep digging, and that's kind of the end of that scene. Oh, then we have objects are floating around with invisible. Oh God! Please go into this because I can't. We're going back to Celebrimbor and the Forge.
Yeah. So Sauron has been working on one ring with Merdania, and this ring turns Merdania invisible, sends them into a misty world?
Yeah, and you can see like a little hammer floating around or something, don't you? Like the shit looks so dumb.
In Celebrimbor, he's groping around. He's lucky that he hasn't grabbed something else as he's wandering his hands around. He pulls the ring off Merdania, and she says, "Oh, I've been into this fiery world. I've seen Sauron. He's here. He's been with us for all this time." It's like, okay, no one's still suspecting Anatar. Okay, that's sound. But my big issue for this and my takeaway was we see that She gives Celebrimbor the ring, then Celebrimbor gives Anatar the ring. I think that this will be the One Ring, and it's a prototype of the One Ring, because you see the capabilities of the ring, it matches up, and you also get Halbrand having the ring back, and he pockets it. Now, it's not the same shape as the One Ring, but I reckon this will be the prototype, because they're going to be working on the 9 in the next sort of episode. So I will be very pissed off if Merdania is the first person to use the One Ring and she help make the One Ring.
I think
Just
you might be right.
That.
I didn't even clock that, but you're totally right. Yeah, so they make this One Ring, and it's kind of faulty. And Celebrimbor says like, no, that's not how you do it. I'm going to show you how you do it. And then they're going to make the 9. We still have this One Ring that was made that's unaccounted for, and that's not going to be binned. That's not going to be melted down or anything. Probably. I actually think you're going to be right. I think that is going to be the basis for the One Ring, and I can't believe I didn't clock it, because it makes her invisible. But then I thought, well, it kind of put her in the Wraith world, and that's what the 9 do. So I never even clocked it. But yeah, the fact that this is kind of like an outlier ring now, that isn't doesn't belong as part of the 3 or part of the 7 or part of the 9. Yeah, we've got this extra ring to play with now, and I think, oh god, I think you're right. Another thing as well, like Medania goes invisible, but like the little hatchet thing's still wafting around, and you just hear her going like, like this little thing's like wafted around. Is it weird that doesn't turn invisible as well? Because I'm trying to think, if Frodo was brandishing Sting and he popped on the ring, would the sword go invisible as well? Because he's still holding it?
It does, because if you look in The Hobbit, Bilbo holds
runs with
the
it, doesn't he?
swords.
Yes,
yeah, and he holds the sword to Gollum's throat.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, so anything that you're in contact with, clothes, weaponry, whatever you're holding, also goes invisible. I think that's because I was watching it, I was thinking, why does this look so dumb, like this thing floating around? And I know you have in Return of the King where Gollum jumps on an invisible Frodo in Mount Doom, which you might say looks a bit silly, but it's like, well, that's how it would look. Like, that's what a fight like that would go down like. But I think it was that like wafting prop and like her disembodied voice going like, and like this little hatchet's floating around. It's because of that. That should be invisible as well. And you should have just heard her voice like screaming for help or something.
Yeah. I really don't. I really hope that she isn't the maker of the One Ring.
Little side note, was this the one where the anvil falls down, or was that in the previous episode?
Yes, it is. Why the fuck is he tied the anvil up in the air? Why?
It's like a fucking Acme sketch from like Looney Tunes or something, like Wile E. Coyote. Why are they keeping an anvil that high?
Yeah, I just expect Buster Keaton to like wander out and just like be like, oh, just missed it. Like, why? And is it after this scene directly? Because we see during breaks in, because apparently those rings don't work, because that ring didn't work because they used too much mithril.
Yeah, again, during just casually strolls to Celebrimbor's gaff.
Yeah.
From Khazad-dum, as you do. No time passes at all. And yeah, he expresses concerns about the rings, doesn't he? Which puts that idea in Celebrimbor's mind. Around this time as well, you have Anatar kind of flirting with the Merdania, the Elven Smith, a little bit, and he's saying that, when you put the ring on, she's like, I saw like the fucking flaming entity of the Netherworld, and it was like an eye or some shit. And he's like, oh, that was does he pins it on Celebrimbor, doesn't he? He goes, oh, that fiery demon bastard was Celebrimbor, I think. Does he?
Yeah.
Or at least he says Celebrimbor's not to be trusted, I think.
He says that's Celebrimbor because he's been overworking. What? And he also
look, I know we all get a bit cranky sometimes when we're overworked, but we don't turn into like, well, maybe some of us do, turn into completely demonic. Yeah, what are we doing? But I thought, I think someone mentioned this in a comment in like a few episodes that we did. The elves should have this super like spiritual awareness about people and should be able to see people in like their fair form or their wraith form or something. So when she pops the ring on, shouldn't she see Anatar as this fiery demon bastard? Because that, you know, the elves are like really in tune like that.
That's a good point. But nah, they're not going to explain that. It's done. And also, she's a new Galadriel. You know?
Oh god, he does say that. Yeah.
You remind me of someone. Oh God, I was thinking, really? You've got a boner for Galadriel? Like, this is certified? Like, he's trying to morph his new girlfriend into his ex?
He's got a thing for blondes, man. You know,
yeah. What? It's so ridiculous. And we're shipping these now.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? There's going to be two things. She's either going to be, she used the One Ring, or she's going to be a ring wraith.
Oh no. We got Theo as a potential ring wraith or King of the Dead. We've got Medania as a ring wraith. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. This is just...
Fuck it. Rings of power.
Fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. This is why I think I asked this question like last episode, like, pick your 9 from this show.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Doesn't have to be kings of men. Could just be any fucker who puts a ring on. Just let's get it going. Let's do it. I want Rufio Store as a ring wraith. I want him as Kamal. We're gonna have Medania. Fuck it. She can be the Witch King, creator of the One Ring, leader of the pack. Theo can tag along. Who else? Kermit. Let's get Kermit. He's destined to fall. So there you go. He's destined to fall and become a ring wraith. He's the 4th.
Who else can we have? Fucking, they're gonna have to introduce some new characters, and that's another thing. Like, they're gonna have to build up these 9.
I want what was the name of the character? Bromwyn. Bromwyn died. She came back as a ring wraith. That's 5.
Waldrig, obviously.
Oh yeah, there you go.
He's back.
Make him the Witch King. Fuck it. He's second in command. He landed a punch on Sauron himself. He deserves to be the Witch King.
He beat up Sauron. Don't forget that. He beat him up. You know, he still hasn't got back to me.
Oh no! Come on.
Come on, everyone, just spam him, please.
We'll get him. We're his #1 fans, probably unironically. Like,
I know.
We need to get T-shirts printed, man. We need merch.
Right. So, is after this scene, is it directly when Celebrimbor and Sauron are arguing, or is there a scene?
There's a scene in between. So we cut to this is like the sacred shrine of the faithful in Numenor. And we get I think like the priest says something, until we meet under a far green country, under a swift sunrise. I was like, fuck you.
That really angered me, because that's my favorite quote. Like,
such a wonderful scene, wonderful quote from the book as well. Yeah.
And they've just fucking tossed it out. I said they have to have at least one an episode. Yep. It's like, what can we do? Oh, okay, far green country, fuck it. Let's do it. I thought the initial bit of this scene wasn't too bad. You know, I was enjoying the ceremony, and then Kermit came in comically again, and crashes it. And then you have that really awkward scene where this old man who looks like, have you ever seen the Terrifier?
I haven't seen it. That's the clown one, isn't it?
Yeah. And he pulls a face where it's like a shocked face. So he wants a relic that holds the souls, I think, of the lost. And if it smashes, then, you know, the souls are lost. Now, he asks Kermit for this, and Elendil, instead of like going, please, can we have it? He's just trying to intimidate him. He's like, give it to him, boy. It's like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. And what happens? He breaks it because he's a villain. And then a fight breaks out, which I described as being shot on a vibrator, because it was so shaky. Like, what the fuck? Like, Jesus.
I never even clocked that. No, I think you're right. Well, I love when Kermit first comes in. He says, like, shut this all off. And they go, like, Why? And he goes, "Oh, it's in the way of the new aqueduct." I think he says that. I'm like, oh, he's like Emperor's New Groove. We're going to build Cusco-topia here. We need to just clear everyone out of this place.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Isildur's mate, the captain, who's had military experience, training, gets beaten up and nearly got drowned by someone who has no experience, no training. And you get that awful fight scene where they're fighting and he nearly drowns him, and then he just knocks his arm for some reason. And then it knocks him over. He breaks. It looks like he breaks his arm or dislocates his arm.
Oh, yeah, both probably. Yeah, the sound effect, yeah.
And then you have Elendil, who's in a really weak arm hold, just finally breaks free and goes, "Put that down. That's an order." And so he does the thing that everyone does, is someone who you've just tried to kill, you put the sword right next to him, and then he turns his back, gets stabbed.
It's so telegraphed, this whole scene. And it lingered so much, yeah.
The issue that I have as well is the fact that he's just broken his arm. Swords are heavy. He's got to go straight through the body. How the fuck's he done that with a broken arm?
Yeah, I know. Was he overhearing Galadriel in season 1? Like, right, stab, twist, gut. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
how's Elendil not gone? Oh, he's running behind you. He's going to stab you.
You can see him. Yeah.
You can see him. Loads of people could see him.
But how it's filmed, because he leaves him on the ground and he takes like a good considerable few steps away. And then the sword just comes through and he falls down and he's like way behind him. I'm like, how long is that fucking sword?
I know.
It's like a comically oversized. You know, in Batman 89, where Jack Nicholson pulls out the gun and it just keeps going and keeps going. It's just like this huge sword that he just stabs him with.
And like, how the hell did he not hear him get up? By the way, he's got to try get up with a broken arm.
Yeah.
He's got all that clothing and all those like rings and that on him. He's then got to pick up a sword, which is probably going to clang and make noise. How's he not heard him?
So perceptive, these Numenoreans, as you said, like years of academy training wasted. They're just
I just couldn't help but think when he had his head under the water that the sea is always right. It's like the sea is always right. Drown.
Oh, this is the best episode of the 2 seasons.
It's still a bad episode, but it's good in terms of Rings of Power. Jeez. So yeah, Isildur, is he arrested at the end of this?
Yes, I think he's apprehended, isn't he? Yeah, we're gonna have all of that in the next episode. Well, maybe not actually. If it's the battle episodes, well, I guess we'll get all that in the finale. We got a message from Anon who says, "Justice for Waldrig. His death was too soon. He was the best.
He's not dead.
We never saw a body.
It was the warg screams."
Yeah. Oh, we need that fan fiction. That's like something that Disney would do, is it? You know, like Mace Windu gets electrified, gets his arm cut off and thrown out of a window, and then there's all these, oh, what if he survived? You know, Boba Fett falls in a Sarlacc pit. What if he survived? Darth Maul, what if he survived? Waldrig, he's still out there.
Yeah.
He's still out there one day plotting his revenge against Sauron. And he
I'm hoping
take him as well.
I know.
Dirty Sanchez says, Rufio Ringwraith riding a dog-sized fell beast. Well, I've always thought that, you know how they're like, when Frodo gets stabbed on Weathertop, he's passing into the Shadow Realm. He'll soon become a wraith like them. And you see loads of meme images where it's the 9 and then like a tiny little dinky Frodo Ringwraith at the front of the back. Yeah, I'm just if that came to fruition, you'd have to get him like a little baby-sized fell beast or something.
I just imagine, have you ever seen Willow? You know, like the little black beasts, like the dogs. I just imagine Rufio just riding one of them.
The little rat dog things, yeah.
Yeah.
Anon says, that was a pond, so ponds are always right. Yeah, I guess so. Fountain, fonts are always right. You name it. Yeah, everything. Right, then we get the Celebrimbor scene where he asks Anatar if he tampered with the Dwarven rings. And it's just hilarious. Again, like Sauron, the master deceiver, Celebrimbor's like, Anatar, did you meddle with the rings? And then Sauron's like, no. And it's like this really like pregnant pause where he's like thinking about it, like, no, question mark at the end. And then Celebrimbor's like, oh, thank God, I knew you wouldn't have tampered with them. And he says that their own deceit went into making the dwarven rings, which is why the dwarven ones are corrupted. It was their own personal baggage they brought into it during the crafting period. But what makes me laugh is like the number of these rings. So in season 1, they made 3 elven rings because they said 3 was perfectly balanced.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Being an odd number like that. And then they said the 9 is going to be basically like the power of the elven rings threefold. So, 3 3s are 9. But then they just pluck the number 7 out of nowhere.
Yes.
There's no sort of excuse for where they got 7 from.
Because you know your 3 times tables. It goes 3, 7, 9. Yeah, I just love how that's the excuse for making 9 for men. It's thrice the amount of the elven rings. Wow. Like, why have you plucked that out? And I really hated this scene because, like you said, he just says, no, we did. And Celebrimbor's like, what? Like, he doesn't even question him at first. And the reason why they are making the rings for men is because the dwarven rings are corrupted. How stupid's that? And instead of recalling these corrupted rings, you know what makes sense? Let's make more of these rings. We fucked it up before, but let's make more. So we're going to leave all of the corrupted dwarven rings out there. Let's not tell them. Just leave it. And this scene angered me as well because Sauron gave Celebrimbor the option. So he's found out that he's been writing to Gil-galad and been lying. And he says, you have 2 choices. You can either tell Gil-galad the truth and come clean, or make more rings. What the fuck? And Celebrimbor settles at this. How about you just stop making rings and you don't tell him? Then you're okay. It's like, okay, we can steal something. You could put it back, or let's steal some more. Like, what the fuck? And Celebrimbor's just going along with it because this is Sauron manipulating him. Like,
and it's
why?
not even subtle manipulation. Like, that's straight up blackmail. And he still treats him as his best buddy.
Yeah. And I really hate the fact that they're going along this line that for the rings to be evil, Sauron had to touch them, which is true because in the books, like, the 9 rings are made in secret after the other rings. But in this show, Halbrand's already had a go at the rings. He's already worked on the elven rings. So shouldn't they be corrupted as well? No. For some reason, they're okay, but the dwarven rings aren't. It doesn't make sense.
It's a running theme, I feel, with this show. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes any sense. Anon says 3 + 7 + 9 = 19 rings for hobbits. Hell yeah.
Yes.
So what was her name? That's why her name's Gundabad. Gunda. What was her name? The leader of the Stores. The really evil sounding name.
Oh, it was Gundabom or something like that.
Yeah.
Fucking Mrs. Clump.
Mrs. Clump.
The Ringgrave.
There you go. There's another one. So what are we up to 7 now? We need 2 more. 2 more, and we've filled the pack. Then we just have a quick scene where Disa makes Durin swear that he'll never wear one of the rings.
Yeah, he's getting a ring.
I predicted that I still think she's going to get one. I think she's going to have a change of tune.
Yeah.
I think she'll get one. Then another quick. So that's pretty much the only scene of that one. To be honest, I don't really have any further notes to add to that one. And then Celebrimbor tells the Smiths that they will begin work on the 9. Yeah, he gives them a bit of a dressing down, doesn't he? In this episode, all of the Smiths.
Yeah.
And he's
just
like,
gone
"You're all shit, and I won't tolerate." He's like Gordon Ramsay at this point. It's like a kitchen nightmare sort of something.
Yeah, he's just like, the rings failed because you are all corrupt and you're not working hard enough.
Yeah, he's cracking the whip.
Yeah, and he has a real go at Merdania. He's like, it's fucking your fault. Work harder. It's like, geez, wow.
It's like, you went
Celebrimbor.
invisible, you stupid bitch. Like, you need to be working. Like, what are you? An idiot sandwich?
It's and it's meant to be like, oh, he's losing it now.
And the
Like,
doubt's already in her mind from when Anatar was flirting with her earlier that he's the demonic, evil Maiar bastard. Yeah.
I just like how we've not had a progression of this, him slowly losing it throughout the whole season. It's just happened within literally one scene.
Oh no, the show thinks it's doing that. The show thinks it's like this really grandiose, well written out deconstruction and, you know, devolution of Celebrimbor's character slowly but surely. We're going to have that really cringe, like Evil Dead scene where he looks in the mirror. We haven't had that yet, have we?
Nope.
Where
when he's crying.
where the frame adjusts, where they couldn't even match that between shots.
Yeah, and we've got to see him crying, which I can't wait.
That's going to be after the battle, I think, isn't it?
Do you think?
It's either going to be during or after. Yeah, when it's all the shit's going down.
When you think of what we've got left to work with in terms of his storyline, so they need to make the 9 rings within 3 episodes, and you've also got to have the fall of Eregion.
Yep.
So, fucking hell, how are they going to do that and fit all of that in?
And 2 episodes is going to be a battle because action means good, apparently.
Yeah. How are they going to fit that in? I don't know.
It feels crazy that we're almost done with this. We have 3 more weeks, and it's all that's it. That's a wrap. That's another series done. But that's what you get when you release 3 fucking episodes out in one go in the premiere. It's almost like Amazon wants to sweep this away. Like, oh, just get it over and done with. A month and a half, couple of months done.
Yeah, but don't forget, it had 40 million viewers over those 3 episodes. I think 3 or 4. It's like, yeah, when you divide that by between the 4 episodes, it's not great.
Yeah.
But I love that during this scene, so he's arguing, so he's having to go at the workers, and then he goes and wanders off. He sits down, shaking like a shitting dog, and then Sauron's like, "Hey, he's trying his best. He's really a good guy. You know, trust him." And they're all like, "Yeah, we can trust you. You know, fuck what Merdania said earlier on about Sauron being here. He's been here all the while. Nah, fuck that."
Yeah, Sauron earlier was saying to Merdania that, oh, don't trust Celebrimbor because he's the Satan. And now all of a sudden, like, oh, he's just overworked. He just needs a Snickers. He's a little bit cranky. Give him some time. He's a real good guy. So what is your plan here, Sauron? Pick a lane.
That is literally your perfect opportunity to be like, you have a subtle look to Merdania to go, you see? He's losing it. But no, he's just switched. Why?
Smoke and mirrors. Just constantly.
Yeah. So you have Celebrimbor, and he's sitting and he's angry. And then we pull out of the window to see that Adar's army are at the doors of Eregion.
It's like the episode 3 quote Obi-Wan Kenobi is like, wait a minute, how did this happen? We're smarter than this. Like, yeah, you have an army outside.
Already there. You know, the spies have not found them. They're right there. And is it after this scene? So we have Elrond is back with Gil-galad. So he warns him, and he says that Galadriel's plan was right all along, but wasn't Galadriel's plan to send the armada to Mordor via the west, via the Anduin? So that plan wasn't right. But Galadriel's right. She's always right. So they had to put the line in there to reassure us that she's right. But Gil-galad still won't send an army. But I've got a feeling that he'd already sent the army to Mordor, and that's why we're going to have Elrond wandering off to go and stop them, bring them back. And that's how he arrives into the battle via cavalry.
He won't. Oh no, he will take a horse this time. Then, cavalry charge. He will.
Which I love how they're going to explain that, because they said that they were going via boat, so via the ships. So they're gonna have to have that scene again where they're taking all of the horses off the boats to then ride. But Gil-galad's just weak again. For some reason, he doesn't want to defend the kingdom, well, the realm of Eregion. Why? One of your closest allies is there. Why would you let Adar have it? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Kind of reminds me of even how he plays it a little bit is almost like Thranduil in the Hobbit movies, how he's only concerned about his own realm and nowhere else.
Yeah.
He's very kind of like isolated. He also has a line which I might be reaching here for a little bit because I think like, oh, that's obviously a callback to this, but just how he said it and the cadence that he said it, it reminded me of Lord of the Rings. I think Gil-galad says something like, "Our armies cannot defeat both Adar and Sauron," and I think Elrond has a similar line in maybe Fellowship of the Ring when he's speaking to Gandalf and he says like, "Our armies cannot attack both Mordor and Isengard," or something. I know there's a line that's similar to that in some way. I could be reaching, you know, it's just a line, but it did sort of remind me of that a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, they've still spotted to see Adar's army. And we get
Galadriel's with them now, isn't she? She's going to turn the tide because they have a common enemy, and they've got a Galadriel now, who is wheeled into the camp via prison wagon. And then Adar right afterwards says, "I brought you here not as a prisoner, but as an ally." I'm like, well, you kind of did bring her there as a prisoner. She was in a cage.
I got some more things for you. I don't know if you noticed. So she's in the cage and she gets let out, doesn't she? So all of the orcs are out in daylight again. They've just forgotten that they're burning. The other thing is actually that, you know, the orc that lets her out and puts a knife to her throat. Do you know what orc that is?
Was that the Family Man orc from a few episodes ago?
That is the Family Man orc. So his days of violence are well upon us.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
He's meant to be like, oh, you know, we just want family. Then he puts a fucking knife to her throat. What?
But did you notice actually when she's let out of the cage, the whole army of orcs recoil from her? Every single one, a whole army of orcs. I'm like, come on, you've got numbers are on your side. I know she's meant, you know, she's super powerful, badass warrior Galadriel, but provided you don't all attack her one at a time, you could take her pretty fucking easily. You've got an entire army against her. She doesn't stand a chance.
But somehow she's got a weapon, and Adar is in a headlock, which is so weak. Like, you can see that he could literally snap out of that, but no. And yeah, he says that they have a common enemy and he wants her as an ally. Jesus.
Which action scenes haven't we seen yet from Galadriel from the trailer? We had the one where she throws the flaming thing up in the air and shoots it. I feel like there was some more. Isn't the one where like someone's like peppered with arrows and like they're stood toe to toe with each other? Someone's like brandishing a sword or a bow and arrow or something against an orc who's opposite them. I think we've got all of that, haven't we?
Yes, it's the Asian elf.
Oh, okay.
And then we've also got the shot in the trailer where she's back in a cage, and she's looking, I think, at Eregion, and then you have the shot where she's with Adar overlooking all of the orcs. So we still got all of that. So she will be wandering around with Adar, and she has a fight with Sauron as well, by the way.
Oh yeah,
and potentially Adar, because they use that crown from from episode 1. So we still got all of that. But are they really going to be trying to tease us that she's going to be joining? We all know that she won't. So what's the fucking point?
I forgot that she's going to be back in that cage from the trailer. So yeah, so he has this, you know, I didn't bring you here as a prisoner, but as an ally. We have a common enemy. Now back in your fucking cage. Like, is that what?
It's like, okay, so your common enemy is Sauron. Okay, but you believed in Halbrand's plan that she's in league with Sauron, even though she said in season 1 to you that she hates Sauron and she wants him dead. Okay, So then, does Adar believe that Halbrand was actually Sauron? If so, why did he let him go? Why didn't he just kill him like he did before?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why the fuck does he trust Galadriel when Halbrand said that Galadriel and Sauron are in league? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going round in circles. I'm like trying to make sense of it, but what?
Honestly, we've dissected pretty much every single scene, and we've had a problem with every scene. And it just,
Yes.
I think when you verbalize it and when you talk about it with someone and have a conversation about it, you go, "Oh, actually, no, this episode was a bag of shit, wasn't it? This was still really, really, really bad from like a writing standpoint, logistics, geographical distance, character motivations, setups from season 1 that don't make any sense and don't lead into this one." Yeah, this episode is also kind of a train wreck too, but somehow feels slightly less of a train wreck.
I think it's because it doesn't make us as angry as we did in the other ones. I think that's why we kind of pass it off as being okay. I mean, nothing tops episode 4 for me. That really angered me.
Yeah,
that was a bad one.
Yeah, but we've still got more Bombadil scenes, haven't we, as well? There's still more scenes to come with Gandalf and Bombadil.
Yeah. So they go on a rescue mission. Can't wait.
It can't be 2 full episodes of a fight then, surely, with all of this. Unless the you did say the run times, didn't you? And wasn't the finale like considerably longer?
Yeah, it might be where, it might be like the end of an episode, like the last 20 minutes, and then it rolls over. But to have 2 episodes on the fall of Eregion, and also have the Harfoot storyline, and also have the Numenorean storyline, and also have the Dwarven story, like,
they've
literally run out of time.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like we've covered all that much in 5 episodes, really, in the grand scheme of things. But then on the flip side, with some aspects like the Celebrimbor and Sauron stuff, it feels like we're speed running it. So it's this weird sort of like combination of, you could probably sum up everything that's happened in 5 episodes so far very, very easily. It's kind of negligible with some of the things that have happened. But then everything's happened with the rings, and we're sort of speedrunning it. In a show called The Rings of Power, I feel like you have the opportunity to pace this shit out a little bit. As you said, like season 3 could have just been on the Dwarven rings if you really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And then season 3, you just save it for the 9, or even do the 9 in like season 4 or something. Pace it out a little bit.
Yeah. You could have had a whole season on seeing Anatar working his way in and corrupting people, and have that build up, and then have the end episode be where he's creating the rings. He's worked them over. But no, we're just rushing.
I'm thinking season 3 is going to be Ring Wraiths and the downfall of Numenor all in one season.
100%. It's got to be. I think they've got to finish the 9 rings next episode. They have to, because the fall of Eregion is going to be happening.
Yeah.
So they need to be finished, and they need to be given to people.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Do you think we're going to have a montage where we're going to see who the 9 are? Receiving all these rings?
I hope they use the Team America soundtrack montage.
Yes.
It's like, please. But again, why are we rushing? The whole essence of the show is the fucking Rings of Power. And we've not had much scenes of the Rings of Power.
Well, think about when we get to like season 4 and 5. Oh, God forbid. Season 4 or 5, where we do the Last Alliance, and Galadriel was actually present at the Last Alliance the whole time.
I've got a feeling that they're going to excuse this. And you know why they're going to do it? Why? And please quote me, save this if this happens.
Okay.
She won't be present because she'll be pregnant during that time, and she'll be on the birthing bed.
Oh, you think that? See, now I think that's still... No, she will be pregnant and fighting, because she's a go-getter woman, and she gets it done. She's going to roll the sleeves up and flex. Yeah.
She'll be smoking, drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
Like,
she's either going to put the idea into Isildur's head, or give him advice on how to fight him, or she'll have like a little fight with Sauron beforehand.
Yeah.
And then he'll go and get the ring cut off by a
Trust me, that's how they're going to explain it. She's going to be giving birth. And I can see like them cutting between the battle and her on the birthing bed,
Oh, like a Revenge of the Sith kind of
Yeah.
situation with Padme and yeah. Oh no.
Please, if that is it, clip
We're gonna
it.
lock
We've
that in.
solved it. We've
Yeah.
locked it in. Right, we're on 1 hour
Yeah.
34.
133, episode 5, season 2. A day that
Yes.
will be remembered if it comes true.
The episode where we discovered that the One Ring was made by Merdania, that Disa will wear one of the rings of power, and the oh man, it's a lot, isn't it, to unpack, and that Galadriel will be giving birth during the last night.
And then Elrond will go and claim his spoils, his future wife, after the battle's done, because that's not going to be creepy.
Yeah, Gary Glitter over there. Do you want to be in my gang?
He's the man who put the gang in bang. Oh no.
Jesus. Awful.
See, I knew I'd end this episode in this. I knew I'd end it in the same way.
Yeah.
It's just you can't get through this show without looking like that. I feel you, Celebrimbor, mate. I do.
So if I could ask you actually, what would you give this episode out of 10? What rating would you give it? Being 10 the best, 1 the worst.
Before we started talking, I wouldn't rank this high at all. Like this show is still a shit show. I would have probably maybe crept up to a 4, possibly a 5 if I'm being incredibly generous. After our discussion, probably a 2 or a 3, maybe. And most of that's the dwarven stuff, like King Durin. Like as you mentioned, like I love the actor, and I like the interplay with his son. That's some good stuff there. I like the actor who plays Elendil. You got a couple of nice things in there with like Na'vi and the Doors of Durin, but it is very negligible, and obviously we haven't seen them craft it with each other. So I think for those reasons, that's because it hung around the dwarves a lot more. Maybe that's why I'm thinking, oh, there's a lot more in this. There wasn't any like stupid store shit or, you know, like the moth bitches or Tom Bombadil to ruin the fucking episode and make me want to tear my eyeballs out. There was none of that. So I think that's why I took to this episode a lot more. But it is still really dumb, isn't it? I think if I gave it more than a 3, I'd be doing a disservice to myself. So I'm going to settle at a 3. And that's a positive in the Rings of Power. 3, possibly a 4. There you go. That's as high as I'm going on this one, I think.
100% agree. I think delving into it more with yourself, I think it became a lot worse than I originally thought it was. So
we delved too deep.
Yeah, we dropped that stone all the way down, and it was bad.
Oh, I was just expecting, like, when she dropped that stone, like, this giant fiery fucking hand comes and lifts it up and gives it back to her.
You raise me up.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Hey, you dropped this. Like, oh, thank you. Oh, Anon says, pregnant with Halbrand's baby that turns out to be Haldit. What?
Oh my God. Could you?
No, it's got to be Celebrimbor. They got to have a daughter.
Haldir, that's his origin. Yes.
I didn't know. What?
Do you know what was actually crazy?
Go on.
That, and I'll say this very quickly, that during season 1, before season 1, actually, I reported on a story to do with the Rings of Power. So apparently they were meant to be having sex scenes within the Rings of Power.
Oh, there was a big coach, wasn't there?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
For nude scenes. Now they scrapped that, but could you imagine if they actually did it where Sauron and Galadriel did have intimate relations during the scenes? Because why else would they have? There's no other romantic thing going on apart from Bronwyn and Don Wick. So
look, I think they got it really
born.
I think they got it really misconstrued where they said that Sauron was going to be destroying Galadriel's ring. And yeah, I do remember the intimacy coach thing, and then I was thinking, I was trying to justify it. I was like, okay, well, I don't want, like, people don't have sex in Tolkien's universe. Like, I mean, they do, but they also don't, and I don't want to see that. It's clearly them trying to make it like all Game of Thronesy, wasn't it? Probably, and you know, we need tits every episode. And you know what? At this point, shit, maybe it'll make the show tolerable if we did. Screw it, why not? Something to look at, isn't it? But then I was thinking, well, you have the fall of Numenor, and you have like human sacrifice, and everyone kind of gets a little bit debauched and, you know, sinful and stuff. So you're probably going to have some like titties flapping around or something at Numenor when it's at its peak of decadence, maybe like the Roman Empire or something. And I was trying to justify it like that, but yeah, then that never came to fruition. And I'd completely forgot about it until now, until you mentioned it. So,
although we did have an orc dad and an orc mum, so it could have been for them. Oh man,
it happens. It happens. Anon says, what are your favorite characters of the series and why? For me, number one is Waldrig. I'd like a spin-off show focusing on him. Oh, fuck yeah. I mean, I think we're both in unison, saying that Waldrig's our favorite character. If I'm just gonna like give you a runner-up character, then it would probably be like either Prince or King Durin, maybe. I suppose.
Yeah.
I like those actors.
Yeah, 100%. I think we can spend longer on who's our least, but picking a favourite's tough. That isn't Waldrig.
Yeah. Criminally underused is he. Could you imagine if he'd been with Adar, like even now, getting ready to go for the Battle of Eregion, and maybe even dies at the Battle of Eregion, but you know, we still wouldn't see a body. We just hear like an animalistic shout off screen. But yeah,
I can't believe they robbed us of that.
I know.
Of seeing Waldrig fighting during the Battle of Eregion, they robbed us of that. He created Mordor, beat up Sauron, and he could have been there, but no. I'm still waiting for him. If you're watching, which you probably aren't, but I have messaged you and I am awaiting your reply. You know what? Shall I check now to see if he's replied or seen it?
Please, yeah. We need to do like an Andy Dufresne thing where we write a letter every single day for 19 years.
Yes, let's spam him. Don't harass him, because
no.
We've got to try and convince him that we like the show so he can come on.
We don't want to harass him because Waldrig is a beautiful man, and we really want to share the love. Sure. Oh god, not share the load. Oh god.
Oh no, thank you. He's not replied or seen it yet.
Oh, this makes me sad.
Boo! Come on,
because Waldrig's got bigger plans. That's why he hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah,
implying that the actor and the character are the same person. They're the same entity. Right, guys. I think that was episode 5, Halls of Stone. On to episode 6, probably for lots of fight. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be an hour of sword fighting. Are you ready? There's going to be so much to talk about. My eyes are going to be on the extras the whole time in the background for the dodgy choreography.
You know, I was thinking actually that during the battle scenes, it'll be like, oh, I'm not going to really have much to say. It's just going to be like, oh, he fights him. But you know that it's going to be so much more to unpack because you're looking at the background and some extras not doing what they should be. And
yet I still need to try and find a positive. I did in this one. There was a couple that we mentioned throughout. So we did. Do you think because we mentioned quite a few in this one, then that's going to give me... Can I use some of those positives as lenience, as currency for the next 3 episodes, maybe? Can I?
Yeah. Just do like a Rings of Power. Just have the recap at the beginning of the episodes of just all the positives.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, in episode 5, yeah, this happened. Yeah, okay, right. Episode 8 is shite.
Yeah. Anon says Galadriel hasn't had any D in over a millennium. Well, what about Celeborn? I actually don't know. Has she? Maybe she has. I'm not sure. And now she's surrounded by all those orcs. Oh no!
Like a bukkake. She's like.
Well, you know the first episode of season 2 where Sauron got stabbed. It's going to be like that, but she's going to be getting. You know what? No, that's right. We're going to round this up because we're delving too deep, and we need to pull out. Oh God, that was a poor choice of words, wasn't it? Right. Everything in Middle Earth. Where can they find you, man? What have you got going on?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Everything in Middle Earth. I'm currently reviewing these episodes, so I just put out my episode 5 review yesterday. So check that out if you want to. And yeah, we'll be working on the Rings of Power, and then after that, we'll be doing some more collaborations with yourself, and potentially doing some more history videos and working on some War of the Rohirrim videos as well. So yeah, that's what I'm up to at the moment, and currently just getting over this episode.
We both are. We both are. But yeah, I recommend everyone heading over to your channel, and even watching those like shorter reviews as well. I know we've talked about it now, but there's some extra stuff in there that we probably didn't even talk about in this one, and some amazing one-liners. That one from last week still kills me. So, and there's another great one in this one. That whole vibrator one really got me in this one. So please head on over there. Some really, really good stuff. And in the meantime, if you haven't done so already, if you're discovering or watching this video after the fact, let me know your thoughts on Rings of Power. And would you say that this is the best episode so far, or would you say it's kind of the same humdrum Rings of Power that we've talked about all the other weeks? Anything regarding the show, or indeed Tolkien or Lord of the Rings, it'd be nice to actually talk about some kind of Tolkien related stuff, because the showrunners certainly can't do it effectively with this show. So that'd be cool. And please do consider subscribing to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. There's a lot of movies that I still need to catch up on, but I'll be going live again tomorrow with Dale for the Disney retrospective that we're doing, the Disney animated classics. We'll be talking about one of Disney's best, Home on the Range. What a memorable Disney film that is. So we'll be talking about that. And then later in the week, the Star Wars reviews will still be coming out. And me and Dale will be heading to the cinema to watch A New Hope. So that's going to be fun to see on the big screen. And of course, we'll be back later next week as well with more Rings of Power for you. So thank you to everyone that got up very, very early to watch us. We really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone that's commented. And we'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care, everyone.